right, what's up? What's up? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael Music. I am your host for this afternoon. And what we are going to be doing in this video, I'm going to be covering the end of the chapter on imagination, and uh, and we'll go from there. So, what have we talked about so far? We basically spent beginning portion of this week going over just what the imagination is. We talked about two different types of imagination. We talked about the synthetic imagination, and we talked about the creative imagination. So, if you watch the videos, I'm curious, like, what is the portion of your imagination that you'll be using most to develop the plans needed so that you can be on your way to getting rich and getting the thing that you wrote down in on your goal card, or what is it that you want. So I'll let you answer that. Another thing is, when will the creative imagination come into play? What is a synonym, or what can the creative imagination also be called? And I'll let you answer that just to see if you truly understand what this book is explaining here. Now, we talked about two stories, and we talked about a story of the Enchanted Kettle yesterday, and how that simple little kettle was sold to a clerk behind the counter store for $500. And all that Enchanted Kettle was nothing much to the person who sold it. But what that little clerk did with this Enchanted Kettle is he spent his whole life savings of $500 on it, and he ended up building what is known today as Coca-Cola. And I'm sure you've all heard of that. So that's what did he mix with the Enchanted Kettle, that, or not even the Enchanted Kettle, what did he mix with the old kettle that made it so special? He mixed his imagination with it. So that was the difference between what made that clergy, or that clerk, turn to the CEO of a vast empire, and the doctor that sold it to him, he only got $500 for it. So there's a difference here. This is where imagination becomes really cool. Now we're going to continue on today reading. I'm going to try to finish this chapter. Um, let's see if this. We're gonna finish this chapter, and we basically went over the stories. Now we're gonna just wrap it up. There's some cool quotes in here that I definitely want to read over, and then we'll leave it at that. So on page 128, Hill says, "Moreover, the principle through which Dr. Gonzalez got his $1 million is still alive." So Dr. Gonzalez, he talked about a story of this man who made a definite decision on what he would do if he had $1 million. And he gave this whole speech on how he wanted to restart the educational system. And there was actually a person, and during his speech, let me say this, during his speech, he's like, yeah, this is what I would do if I had $1 million. And there was a person in the audience who so believed in his vision that the guy gave on the stage, that he actually was like, hey, like, meet me after this event, I will give you the $1 million. And so he got it, and it was a really cool story. Highly recommend checking it out. But I want to get into this right now. So Hill says, moreover, the principle through which Dr. Gonzalez got his $1 million is still alive. It is available to you. This universal law is as workable today as it was when the young preacher made use of it so successfully. This book describes step by step the 13 elements of this great law and suggests how they may be put to use. He said this universal law is as workable today as it was back then. What is this universal law that he's describing? Now he says the book describes step by step the 13 elements of this great law and suggests how they may be put to use. So we're talking about this book right here that I am reading is a step-by-step guide, is what he's saying, to follow so that you can get the same not the same thing, like the same $1,000,000. It's going to look a little different on how you get it and what you receive, but it's the same principles that we're following here. Observe that a sock handler and Dr. Frank Gonzalez had one characteristic in common. Both knew the astounding truth that ideas can be transmuted into cash through the power of a definite purpose plus definite plans. So, this is an interesting line right here that I want to pause on. Hill says that ideas can be transmuted into cash through the power of definite purpose plus definite plans. Now, the question is, do you have a definite purpose in play? Do you know what it is that you want? Are you looking at your definite purpose like it's got to be this God holy grail? Or are you looking at it like, okay, what is it that I truly want? And do you have definite plans to back it up? So, this is a really cool quote, and I really want you to pay attention here. He says, if you are one of those who believe that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought. It is not true. Riches, when they come in huge quantities, are never the result of hard work. Riches come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. Okay, so that was a huge, huge quote. Hey, Daniela. And so I want to repeat this because this is interesting. So what is he saying here? He's saying that riches do not come through hard work. Or if you think that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought. So that's interesting because it's not about how hard you work. So then what is it about? He's saying it's not true. Now this is key right here. He says riches when they come in huge quantities are never the result of hard work. Riches come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. So, what does he mean when he's saying in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles? So let's break it down. What are the definite principles? Well, I'll tell you what I know. I know that in this book right here, we're reading 13 definite principles that are laid out for us. So I'd say that's a good hint. And then what are the definite demands? Are we or am I demanding what it is that I want? And am I being specific about it? And then am I following up on it with definite principles laid out here? So that's a really interesting food for thought. I love this quote, and I've heard it said before. I've underlined it, and if you are curious, it's on page 128, so you can check it out there. But that's cool. That's cool. So like I want to stay on this idea for a little bit. Like, so are the construction workers gonna get rich, right? They're doing all this manual labor. Are they gonna be the ones that get rich? Uh, Danielle, I can definitely send you a picture of this because this is good stuff. And even I noticed too, like given all salesmen, they say like sales is the highest profession in the world, but are all salesmen getting rich? And I don't I mean, they can, but it's like you say, it's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. You said it excellent right there. So that's cool. I'm gonna keep reading because I do have a few pages to get through. So Hill says now, generally speaking, an idea is an impulse of thought that impels action by an appeal to the imagination. He says an idea is an impulse of thought that impels action by an appeal to the imagination. All master salesmen know that ideas can be sold where merchandise cannot. Ordinary salesmen do not know this. That is why they are ordinary. Okay, so that answers the question right there. There's a difference, he's saying, between salesmen. There's a salesman that was probably like me, that was knocking on doors, selling physical things, and then there's the salesmen that are able to sell an idea to you, and understand the difference in pay between the two. He says, all master salesmen know that ideas can be sold where merchandise cannot. Ordinary salesmen do not know this. That is why they are ordinary. A publisher of books which sell for a nickel made a discovery that should be worth much to the publishers. Generally, he learned that many people buy titles and not contents of books. By merely changing the name of one book that was not moving, his sales on that book jumped upward more than 1 million copies. The inside of the book was not changed in any way. He merely ripped off the covering bearing the title that did not sell and put on a new cover with a title that had box office value. That, as simple as it may seem, was an idea. It was imagination. So, so what ideas do you have that that you can sell that how do I want to put this? But it's interesting. So going back to the book, if you wrote a book and it's not selling, and the fact that you can just change the cover, sell a better idea to the person, that could be the difference between selling it for a nickel or selling it for $1 million. And I find that really interesting. So like I guess the question I'm trying to ask is like, what idea do you have that you know or that could be sold for uh well over $1 million maybe, right? This is a book about thinking big. So why not think big? Like to some, $1 million is pretty small. That, as simple as it may seem, was an idea. It was imagination. There is no standard price on it. Okay, let me say this. Now, there is no standard price on ideas. The creator of ideas makes his own price, and if he is smart, gets it. That's pretty cool. There's no standard price on ideas. So one thing I notice, it's so simple. I notice a lot of gurus they'll write a book, they'll sell the book for $14, and then they'll make a video course of them just talking about the book, and I see them sell it for $500 and beyond. And even the best of the best do this. Like Tony Robbins, he has this seminar. It's like this business seminar. I think it costs somewhere around $100,000 to go to, and all he is doing in the seminar is selling the same ideas that he sold in a book he wrote on money. So it's like it's the same thing, but the key here is that there is no standard price on ideas. So I'm not saying he doesn't have good ideas, but I'm saying that he set the price on his ideas. And like Napoleon Hill saying, the creator of ideas makes his own price, and if he is smart, he gets it. So that's pretty cool stuff. Now, the moving picture industry created a whole flock of millionaires. Most of them were men who couldn't create ideas, but they had the imagination to recognize ideas when they saw them. The next flock of millionaires will grow out of the radio business. Okay, so I'm gonna skip this next page. He's gonna talk about, right, remember this book was written in 1937. He's gonna be talking about how the next big thing is radio, and look at how far we've come, given that radio is almost a thing of the past. So I'm gonna fast forward a page. Okay. This is cool. This is cool stuff. So get ready for this. He talked about radio the last few pages, but let me get to this. He said, never let it discourage you if you have no experience in radio. Andrew Carnegie knew very little about making steel. I have Carnegie's own word for this, but he made practical use of two principles described in this book and made the steel business yield him a fortune. So Andrew Carnegie was the richest man at the time, inspired Napoleon Hill to come up with this philosophy called Think and Grow Rich, which has yielded him millions and millions of copies sold. And given that it was definitely sold more than $1, we're talking millions and millions of dollars to Napoleon Hill. But anyways, I say this to say Andrew Carnegie was the richest man at the time. He knew nothing about the steel business, yet he was rich because of the steel business. Now, how did he do it? Well, well, Napoleon Hill says he made practical use of two of the principles described in this book and made the steel business yield him a fortune. Now, the story of practically every great fortune starts with the day when a creator of ideas and a seller of ideas get together and work in harmony. Let me repeat that. He says the story of practically every great fortune, Coca-Cola, Andrew Carnegie's business, Napoleon Hill even, starts with the day when a creator of ideas and a seller of ideas got together and worked in harmony. So the question is, do you have to come up with the ideas yourself? Could you find an expert idea, but could you be the one that really sells this to the world? So that's what's cool about vision. I heard something where it's like you don't have to have the vision, but you can use somebody else's vision and hold on to that until it becomes your own vision. And that's what I love about the sales role, right? I'm not necessarily a creator of these great products and whatnot, but I am a very uh, motivated salesman of them. And so I will sell this to the world. So that harmony is where every great fortune has been made in the past. So it's just an interesting thought to have. Now, Carnegie surrounded himself with men who can do all that he could not do, men who created ideas and men who put ideas into operation and made himself and the others fabulously rich. So, what was Carnegie's role in becoming the richest man in the world? What was his role? He was in the role of harmonizing men. He made sure that he created a mastermind, and his main purpose was to make sure that mastermind worked in harmony. Now, did he know everything about steel? No. But did he have people that knew everything about steel? Yes. And did he have people who can sell these ideas of steel? Yes. So the people that knew everything about steel and the people who can sell them came together, and he was Andrew Carnegie, master of the mastermind, and his main focus was to make sure that this mastermind is working in harmony with one another so that the business keeps going up. That was his role. And most people, they look at the rich and they're like, what do they really do? I actually saw a video of someone bashing Steve Jobs. They're like, did he really do anything for the iPhone? Like, or did he just tell people to do anything for the iPhone? And it's not that. I'm not saying whether or not I don't know if Steve Jobs was the one that invented the iPhone or if he helped like had people under him build the iPhone, like the physical, but he was the person that held the mastermind. So that's like the difference I see now between working in your business and working on your business. And it's a interesting distinction between the truly, truly rich and the people that are experts that are super intelligent, but they're just not getting rich. That was a cool breakthrough right there. Furthermore, millions of people go through life hoping for favorable breaks. Perhaps a favorable break can get one an opportunity, but the safest plan is not to depend upon luck. It was a favorable break that gave me the biggest opportunity of my life, but 25 years of determined effort had to be devoted to that opportunity before it became an asset. What does this tell you? Napoleon Hill got rich, but he put in 25 years of determined effort, determined to this opportunity before it became an asset. So yes, he struck the gold, right? He wrote this book. It sold millions of dollars. But what did he do before that that made him finally have that favorable break? Now that's the question that I feel like all truly successful people find out. Anyways, the break, Hill says, the break consisted of my good fortune in meeting and gaining the cooperation of Andrew Carnegie. On that occasion, Carnegie planted in my mind the idea of organizing the principles of achievement into a philosophy of success. Thousands of people have profited by the discoveries made in the 25 years of research, and several fortunes have been accumulated through the application of the philosophy. The beginning was simple. It was an idea which anyone might have developed. The favorable break came through Carnegie, but what about the determination, definiteness of purpose, and the desire to attain the goal, and the persistent effort of 25 years? It was no ordinary desire that survived disappointment, discouragement, temporary defeat, criticism, and the constant reminding of waste of time. It was a burning desire, an obsession. Okay, so what is he saying? He's saying the opportunity to write something as great as Think and Grow Rich came through Andrew Carnegie. But he's saying, what about all the effort that he put in before? The determination, the definiteness of purpose, the desire that has become a burning obsession in every cell of his body, the persistent effort of 25 years. Let me ask you, are you willing to dedicate 25 years of your life to what may be the greatest idea with all a lot of people around you saying this is just a waste of time? That's a question that I should even be asking myself. Like I know that there's great ideas out there that I can commit to and absolutely make something of it. If I dedicate 25 years, easy. It's guaranteed. But the question is, am I willing to seriously dedicate myself to this idea while people are chirping, right? Judging you, whatever they're saying. Like, am I able to keep my head down, keep that definiteness of purpose, and then finally experience that favorable break where people are going to be like, oh, he just got lucky? So, those are some great questions that are coming to mind. Now, he says, when the idea was first planted in my mind by Mr. Carnegie, it was coaxed, nursed, and enticed to remain alive. Gradually, the idea became a giant under its own power, and it coaxed, nursed, and drove me. Ideas are like that. First, you give life action and guidance to ideas, then they take on a power of their own and sweep aside all opposition. He says, first, you give life action and guidance to ideas. So you got the idea, you got the burning desire in you, you wrote the idea down, you kind of just gave it life. You start taking action on this goal, you start to guide the idea. And then, when is the point that the idea takes on a whole power of its own and sweeps aside all opposition? What is that point? And when is it coming for you? He says ideas are intangible forces, but they have more power than the physical brains that give birth to them. Let me repeat that. He says ideas are intangible forces, but they have more power than the physical brains that give birth to them. They have the power to live on after the brain that creates them has returned to dust. So we're talking about how powerful is your brain? Right? It's probably the most super mega best running computer out there compared to any technology that we have created. And he's saying that ideas are more powerful than this brain. And why is that so? Why are ideas more powerful than this brain? Because let's say after 100 years, I will most likely pass away and my brain will will start to return to dust. Let's just face it. It's just how life works. But what if I can leave an idea with the world that will last on far beyond my lifespan? Right? Like right now, I'm recording this video, and it's like to say, like, how long can the ideas shared in this live on YouTube and Facebook last? Right? I don't think unless something happens, they get deleted. I don't think they're going to get deleted, and I don't think that these ideas are going to cease. So I think that's really cool stuff. He says, for example, take the power of Christianity that began with a simple idea born in the brain of Christ. Its chief tenet was do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Christ has gone back to the source from whence he came, but his ideas go marching on. Someday it may grow up and come into its own. Then it will have fulfilled Christ's deepest desire. The idea has been developing for only 2,000 years. Give it time. Think about that. There's this man named Jesus Christ that, let's just say, in broad sense, he had some cool ideas. And look at us today. We're in what, 2022? We're talking 2,000 plus years later, and these ideas are still a big portion of everyone's life, right? He's been long gone. Like he returned back to source, yet his ideas still lived on. So that's a great just perspective shift on how far your ideas can truly live on, especially if they're good quality ideas and you show that they're truly valuable to the people that you want to reach them to. Now, finally, Napoleon Hill ends this chapter on imagination with success requires no explanations, failure permits no alibis. We're going to end it up there. Wow. So that was only, I think, 4 pages that we read. But those were 4 powerful pages. I truly would like to ask you, like, what'd you learn and what'd you like from this little reading? My favorite one was just figuring out it's not hard work alone will bring riches. He says, perish the thought. I'm not saying you can't work hard and that's not a factor in it, but hard work alone won't bring riches. And why was that? By the way, what I'm talking about right now is what I learned. What did I like? I like learning this. He says, riches when they come in huge quantities are never the result of hard work. Riches come if they come at all in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. So, what are your definite demands for riches? And what are the definite principles that you are going to follow? What are the rules that you have set in place that you are going to follow to truly get rich? And we're talking huge, huge quantities rich. So, that's something to really think about and maybe even write about. And then finally, I liked the idea that there is no standard price on ideas. The creator of ideas makes his own price, and if he is smart, gets it. Right? So, what idea do you have that you can sell to the market, and what is the price that you're going to set for it? What is the definite demand of price that you believe your idea is worth? And what is your definite plan to make sure that you get what it is that you think your idea is worth, right? We're not talking about what is it worth. I'm talking abstract here, so I'm gonna pause there. But I'm talking like, what do you want to sell your ideas at, and who is stopping you from selling your ideas for 1,000, 10,000, $100,000? We just talked about the story of some of the gurus out there selling their ideas for 100,000, and who's to say that you can't sell your ideas for even more money? Now, I like that stuff. And then finally, we talked about the how big can ideas get? How powerful can ideas get? When is the point where the idea, where it's like you kind of grow and build the idea, and then next thing you know, the idea is just taking over from there on out? When is that point, and how long are you willing to persist to get to that point? All right. Well, I'm gonna end it there. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. My name is Michael Music, and I'll leave you how I always leave you until we meet again in time and space. I will see you all soon enough. Peace out. Peace out.